into the shop, you guys. In the last video that I had uploaded on the saw stop, at the end I'd mentioned I'm going to be doing a shop tour, and that is what this video is. I got a handful of requests from you guys to cover a couple things out here, and I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of what I have, the space itself, and kind of where I'm at. So this whole shop I've actually been in for about a year. I moved in at the end of last year, I think it was November, so just about a year. And I was in my parents' garage for the longest time. I filmed probably 3 years worth of YouTube videos there, made a whole lot of projects, and it just got to the point where I needed to move into an actual space. And so this is what I ended up in. And it's about 1,000 square feet. It's got an office right here. It's got a bathroom in the back. Honestly, for the type of work that I do and the projects, the tools I have, this space is honestly the best I could ever come up with. So I'm really lucky in that regard. And overall, I've been impressed with, I'd say, the insulation in the ceiling. Summer, thankfully, is over for the most part, but there were definitely some hot days that I had to get through. Winter's coming up, so I'll probably have the heater on in the office. Just a lot of those like creature comfort things I'm now starting to realize are really nice in a space like this. But yeah, so overall it's nice to have this at the very front with the big roll-up door. This is obviously a commercial building, and so the benefit of that is being able to pull in like a truck or a trailer, something like that. And you can see that at the moment, right now, I have a project right here. This is a refinishing job that I'm doing, and it's a good example of why you actually need the space in the first place. You can see I have the dust collector there, a lot of the scrap wood, not even scrap, but spare offcuts over here. I have a lot of my sheet goods here. This right here is a scaffolding unit. And so basically this whole front of the shop is like the stuff that I don't need on a day-to-day basis, but I still need access to it regularly. It all lives kind of in this front area. So this has been a nice kind of offloading zone from the entrance there. And so this is the door to the office, and here it's really nothing special. Got my desk here, some other stuff, microwave, fridge, big whiteboard, just, you know, the basic office kind of stuff. And it's nice actually having it separated with the door, because then I can keep this closed and not get all of the dust in there, because that would be really annoying. So this actually, I'd say, is the beginning of the shop itself. I think it was maybe like from about right here all the way back is the size of what I was in before. It's like all this space right here is extra. So from here back, I think is about 600 square feet. And that's kind of the space that I was in my parents' garage. So the first tool that you come on is the table saw. And this is obviously something that I bought last year. It's a lot larger than the other table saws that I had, but for the type of work that I do, it's honestly the thing I need right now. And you can see that it actually has a lot of open room in the front. That way I can rip down a lot of the larger sheets of plywood, MDF, that type of stuff. And then you can come across to the outfeed table. And this I also built just after I purchased the table. And both of these are on mobile bases, so I can wheel this stuff around and move it. I've had a couple different shop layouts in here in the last year. I've had like 3 or 4 different layouts. And these things can move around super easily, which is nice. So along the back over there is some more scrap wood. And honestly, I found that you can really use any scrap wood that you have. It's just a matter of knowing what you have. So for me, I like to keep it organized by whether it's a hardwood or some sort of engineered product, so like an MDF or a plywood or something like that. So like plywood is separate from the hardwood, and then it's all kind of sized out to, you know, little sticks from this all the way up to larger panels and pieces of wood. And I find myself, you know, picking and going through for different stuff, and I don't know if that's just like the inner hoarder in me, or if it's just, you know, something I have to live with or not. But anyway, speaking of lumber storage, on the other side of you right now is the majority of my other lumber storage. These are all longer boards that I had put away for maybe 3 years, and I never touched them. They were bundled up outside, and I never touched them until I moved into this space, and I brought them here, and I'm planning on doing a handful of larger furniture projects with all this really nice hardwood. You can see we have some mahogany, maple, red oak, walnut, a lot of really good stuff in there, so I'm looking forward to using that. And also, if you've been keeping up with the videos in the last handful of months, you can see that this whole layout that I'm in right now is actually different from what it was. Right here is where my workbench was before, and I kind of had kind of like a C shape going around, and the workbench was kind of like an island. But now it's a lot more storage, and a lot of this stuff is kind of isolated off to the side. That way the shop itself can be over here, and it also kind of looks a little bit better on videos. You can see that I have lights up top in all of the different corners, and that just kind of fills in the dead spaces, makes the shadows a little bit less as contrasting. But anyway, over here you can see we have a lot more of the smaller storage for the offcuts. I do tend to go through this the most often because you can grab these little boards, mix up a little bit of glue or finish, or just like an offcut to use for a jig on the table saw. I found that I come over here and grab that type of stuff pretty often. And I know probably a lot of you guys have these yellow bins. These are famously like the thing that you see in all garages now, the yellow bins. One tip for you, if you have a lot of these, is actually putting a tag on the very corner with a number, and then maybe having like an Excel spreadsheet or like a Google Doc, and then just listing out the items of what's inside. We actually did this in the garage at home, and it's been a really, really good system to use for like Christmas decorations and holiday decorations, that type of stuff. But yeah, yellow bins are good for storage. Right now there's just like moving blankets, dust collection parts, extra tools I don't need every day in there. What else is back here? You can see that I also just kind of store extra stuff in there too. So like my extra light right here. We have our hand truck, Dolly, a shade structure, which is really nice for setting stuff up outside. Just kind of more storage. And I can move this around too. It's not like it's a lot of clutter. It's just extra stuff that I don't want in the workspace. This right here, I'm actually planning on doing a full restoration on pretty soon. This was a disc sander that I purchased maybe like 4 or 5 years ago off of another woodworker. I mean, it was like super cheap, but I'd never gotten to actually restore the whole thing. It works perfectly fine. It's not like the motor's broken or anything, but just like a lot of the cosmetic things, like the switch right here, the cord. It also, for some reason, has always been rocking, so one of the legs is a little bit taller. I've always had to like shim it in one of them, so I'm probably going to do a full restoration on this that will be on the channel at some point. Now, back here, a lot of you guys are probably going to give me crap for this, but this is the current state of the Shopsmith at the moment. I really haven't been doing a whole lot of turning lately. A lot of, honestly, what I've been doing is cabinetry, boxes, plywood, that type of work for other people. But I'd like to get maybe back into turning some bowls or spindles, even like a baseball bat or something like that would be fun to do. But yeah, this is the current state of it right now. It is here in the shop. I don't really plan on getting rid of it. Obviously, it does need a little bit of tuning up before I go ahead and use it again. It's got a little bit of surface rust. But yeah, again, more storage back there. Yeah, I need to probably get this all figured out with like another shelf system right here. Maybe put like finishing supplies, something like that. My sister actually made this like many, many years ago for me in the old shop, and so I'm obviously going to keep that going, keep that tradition of the shop. So yeah, just more storage. A lot of this stuff is just like simple boxes that I just screw into the wall, and then whatever I need to throw up there just kind of ends up there. So for me, being a tall guy, Up here is a lot of the hardware, and it's up out of the way. These stack-on things right here are good for like nuts and bolts and that kind of thing. Really probably should go through this at some point and get rid of the crap I don't need. Another good thing that I'll tell you about is if you have like an iPhone or Samsung or something where you can get a different case for it, if you get one that is magnetic, I found that it's really nice to actually mount your phone up while you're working. That way, if someone texts you or calls you, you don't have to take it out of your phone. You don't have to take it out of your back pocket to check your phone. You can just look and see who texts you or calls you. And with a good plate of steel or something like that, with a good magnet, you can then also text back or touch the phone. And so I like to have this mounted right here. Yeah, so another light right there. And since kind of rearranging stuff in the shop with like moving the workbench, this kind of turned into its own little nook. I bought both of these tool carts from Lowe's a couple years ago, and I filled up the drawers for the most part with different stuff. This one mainly being for like mechanics tools, so like sockets, wrenches, not really like woodworking stuff, but a lot more of the, you know, like cordless tools and that kind of thing. This one has definitely become like a catch-all for just the random stuff. So like this one right here is electrical, finishing supplies. I found that I accumulated a lot of like consumable products, so like sandpaper, containers, these, what are these called? Strainers, that kind of thing. So I'd like to maybe go through this and make that a little bit better, especially with like spraying more, you know, cabinets and that kind of thing. This one is just extra specialty clamps, so like the bandy clamps. The nice thing though about having tool carts like this is that it instantly gives you a countertop surface. And I know for a lot of you guys, the horizontal surfaces just get cluttered with all sorts of stuff. And at one point I was that way, but I've been pretty diligent about trying to keep it clean and not keep a lot of crap on it. These have actually been really nice to keep on the surface here. These are all just hex Allen key wrenches, and I've used these a lot actually, and especially because they're right here, they're so accessible. Just like you come over here, you can loosen something on the table saw, or if you need to adjust something on the planer, it's literally right here. And the color coding is also nice. Got the drill press right here. I built this cart maybe like 4 years ago, and I really haven't found any problems with it. It's great for this little Craftsman drill press. Actually, this drill press and the bandsaw, the 10-inch bandsaw, I had purchased at Sears on a Black Friday. And obviously Craftsman isn't like an amazing brand by any means, but it's a good brand, and I found that for what I need, this drill press turns on and it spins and it does a pretty good job. So I'll probably keep that for a little while. Got my whiteboard up here for just laying out other stuff. If I need a quick measurement that I need to remember, you can see like I have a couple measurements for current project I'm working on. I think I might actually get another one of these, maybe on that wall or that wall. I'm still trying to kind of figure this out. Since I'd moved the workbench and now that's storage and this is kind of its own area, it just kind of throws everything else up in the air for different possibilities of moving stuff around. This right here is the other tool cart that you'll see me use a lot. This one I mainly keep like my hand tools, hand planes. A lot of these I've been using in the last week or so. Things like hand planes, sandpaper in there, more sandpaper, and just kind of extra sanders, hold down clamps. And this is the workbench that I keep referencing that was over there, and now I've flipped to this side. And the reason, the main reason I've obviously shifted kind of into this direction is because now I can actually see out front into the shop. That was really bugging me when it was right there. I couldn't see who was coming into the shop when the doors open. And so now with this, I can actually see, and also on video, this is actually going to be a better lighting situation as well. And since moving this workbench, I also moved my other workbench to the other side, and it basically makes this whole big square. Here, so follow me in this direction. And so you can see it makes this whole big square right here. And then it allows for this workspace here to still be usable. This cart just kind of gets kicked around into different spots. It holds, you know, shelves or parts. Like I'll probably put all these parts here onto this cart at some point and roll it away. And then kind of brings me into this area right here between the outfeed of the table saw, the jointer, and the planer. I find that these three kind of work together. When you're milling down lumber, you're going to joint it first, you're probably going to plane it, and then rip it, and then maybe joint it again. Point being, you're going to go from these tools back and forth pretty often. So that's why I also have this walkway back here, the one right there, making this an island, as well as around here, I can walk all the way around. And then obviously the planer has plenty of outfeed going in this direction, or actually infeed going that direction, and then outfeed going in that direction. With the ground being concrete, it's really easy to wheel around these tools because they are heavy, but the casters work perfectly fine. I can show you here that this actually can move like that. There's actually a divot down here that's always bugged me since I moved here. But yeah, you can see that stuff moves around fairly easily. This obviously is more storage as well. Got power strip up here that I use for plugging in like a shop vac or a sander. A lot of the stuff that we use now is cordless, so I use chargers. I have one here. I need to probably plug one in over there. Got my stereo. Extra camera equipment, a bunch of different glue. This isn't glue. Caulking, glue. This one's actually completely empty. I haven't even filled that one yet. The thing I've noticed is that having extra drawer space is a really good idea, because if you have something that you want to just throw in there while you're working, guess what? It's not going to get dusty. And I found that, especially with the miter station, having a lot more drawers there, it's going to be nice for extra tools that I accumulate, extra maybe parts, like all of these. If I really had to, I could throw these in a drawer and it wouldn't be, you know, that hard to think about. Then we got the bandsaw right here. Obviously I'm a Powermatic fan. I have their jointer, planer, and their bandsaw. I might get other equipment from them in the future. I just need to come up with the money for that kind of thing. But I'd say that these three tools are the most essential. I had an older jointer, I had an older planer, and my older bandsaw is actually against this wall, and this is the one that I was talking about that I had gotten from Sears with the drill press maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And this I can just roll out. Like, I don't use it that often, but having it accessible right there has been a good idea. Also got a scroll saw on there too. And then that kind of leads me into the latest shop project that you guys saw me build, and that is this whole miter station. I don't know why, I can't recall off the top of my head how long this is, but what is it, like 10 feet?
Something like that.
I think the whole wall was maybe 12 feet or 14 feet. Why do I not know that? Let's see. So, again, it's like I can go to the drawer, grab what I need, and then get back to work. So, yeah, so 11.5 feet is what this whole miter station measures at. And you can obviously go back and watch the 2 videos that I uploaded on this. I mean, all the footage together added up to like over a half hour. So it was like two 17-minute videos that are just packed full of good woodworking content that I'd highly recommend you go check that out. Back here, obviously, I have extra storage for just a lot of the stuff I don't need that often. So like, here's an iron for ironing on edge banding, which I hardly ever do, but guess what? Now, instead of keeping the iron out where it's gonna get all dusty, it lives in a drawer. These are all soft close drawers as well. You can see I got my planes in here. I might build like a tray or something to keep these from all moving around, but I literally just finished this maybe like a month ago, and so I'm still kind of getting used to this whole thing being here. You can see that these are all cubbies that actually have a soft close hinge on them. They're like little compartments. And so like you can see, I have a lot of my finishing stuff in here. Windex. Like in this one, I plan on keeping a lot of the parts that will be for the miter saw. And so like this jig right here, I might put like a zero clearance thing up here, maybe even like another shelf. It's just kind of one of those things where, okay, the miter station is done, cool, but then like all of the little stuff after the fact, I'll add to once I kind of have it here for a while and I know what I need to do. So just adding little stuff like that. You can see I haven't even filled this one yet. A lot of these drawers, in all honesty, I haven't filled. So yeah, you want to put the camera in there? It's not like there's anything in there. So nothing in there. And like right here, I might put another battery charger. A lot of the stuff I use is Makita, so I have like 4 chargers. Probably should put one here. We have the one over there. I need to probably put one over there. Yeah, and then this vacuum, I probably should have cleaned up and at least made this presentable before I did this video, but this is the state of the shop right now, and I'm not hiding anything. So literally, this can go under here like that, and then I can hook the vacuum up to the saw when I use it. But then because I only have one Festool vacuum at the moment, I have to drag this out and use it with the sander. But honestly, it's really not that bad. It would be a nice luxury to have 2 of these, but there I go again, buying more tools. So that's just kind of the way that this back section has been working at the moment. I literally got this done a month ago, and I just threw everything up here that I could, and I really haven't touched it since. I mean, overall, it has been a good miter station with the new miter saw and the fence, which is basically the only function of the miter station apart from the storage. And then back here, we got a lot of the clamp storage for the larger pipe clamps and the Bessie clamps. I'd like to get a bunch more of these because I find myself using these a lot, and I always run out on pretty much every project I use these with. So if I end up getting more, I'll probably make a larger clamp rack or just make more of these little hook things that'll hold some more clamps. I don't know, maybe I'll just turn this into like a whole French cleat system or something like that. Air compressor here. And actually, speaking of French cleats, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to the next project I'm going to be doing here on the channel. This is a French cleat hand tool cabinet. You guys right now are literally getting a sneak peek as to what this looks like. I'm probably 10-15 minutes into a video on building this, and this is going to be a really fun project that actually has a twist to it that you're going to want to stay tuned for. So keep an eye out for this video on the hand tool cabinet. Yeah, this is just sitting here right now, but once it's done, you're really going to like that. So this space, when it's all said and done, when this isn't here, the vacuum isn't there, and the trash can is moved, you can see that this is also another open space. Kind of like at the front, I plan on actually having an open space here. That way, with whatever I'm building, I can work on it and leave it here, and it's really not obstructing any other tool at the moment. So that's a good thing to note as well. And also just kind of a luxury, I guess, of being in a larger space like this. I guess the other things I could cover are lighting. You can see we have 3 overhead lights up there as well. Those literally came with the shop. I didn't do a single thing to them. I might switch them out to something different, brighter maybe in the future, but I really haven't found a need for that. I also have my Wen air filter up there. That thing is probably a little bit undersized for this whole space, but I turn it on and it kind of circles the air around and just kind of gets a lot of the dust out of there. But maybe I'll buy another one, or maybe I'll upgrade to a larger one. I don't really know, but it's up there right now. And the last thing I'll kind of tell you about is the dust collection system that I have. You can see for the planer right here, we have a long hose going up, literally wrapping around a pipe, going way up there, and then all that leads to this. And this is the main point I want to get at. When I moved into this shop, I realized almost instantly that all I need for dust collection is a long run along the wall like that. That's it. I don't need any fancy drop systems. I don't need all of the extra doodads and blast gates and all that. I just need one run and then a break to each tool. And that way I was able to save a lot of the dust collection parts that I have, which are now in the yellow bins. But it's just super, super simple. And you can see it just sneaks down to each of the tools. You can probably get a shot back here of the bandsaw. You can see that with working at the bandsaw, I can just open it from back here, like that, and then close it when I'm done. It's just a lot of those things I realized with having a shop like this. I'm like, I want to have the blast gate right next to the tool. So like right here, the blast gate is right here. And then with the jointer, the router table, and the table saw, all 3 of those connect right here. And if you think about it, if you have 2 of the blast gates closed and you have 1 open, that's equally the same as if you had 3 separate runs for each of the tools. This just saves space, it saves time, and it saves money on a really, really expensive product like the Nordfab clamping system. So having 1 run right here is a good idea, and I can just switch it over to the table saw or the router table or the jointer. I've even had it where I've had 2 up to 3 blast gates open if I'm really just like jumping back and forth between a couple of tools. And then that just literally runs all the way down here to the dust collector. And when all of these cabinets aren't here, I can then just pull the bin out, load it into the truck, and then take it to the dumpster at the end of the complex. And that kind of leads me back up here to the front. And if you stay there, you can see this door actually goes up like 12 feet. So if you wanted to pull in a large truck or even like a food truck, something like that, you can do it in this type of space. And yeah, so that kind of, I think, concludes my shop tour of the current space. If you have any questions or comments about some of the things that I've covered, please do leave that down in the comments below. We're here to learn from one another, and I think that there was definitely some valuable information that I shared, and I know that you guys have all that type of stuff too in your heads, and you can share it in the comments. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to the hand tool cabinet over there. Then also look forward to maybe a refinishing video. Yeah, a couple other things in the works as well that I'll be sharing with you in the near future. I hope you guys enjoyed this shop tour video. It's been well over a year since I covered my shop space, which was in the old shop. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.